Alrighty, what's up everybody? Peter Joseph here for a late Wednesday night video right here on the Peter Joseph YouTube wrestling channel, youtube.com/Peter Joseph. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video, hit that subscribe button down in my pants, otherwise known as the description box below, on this channel, and show my other channels your love and support by hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button as well. And don't forget to leave a comment if you wish, but don't leave stupid comments because you'll get sent to the Shadow Realm, beaten severely, and then Ozzy and Satan will come and kick your ass and then eat your soul. So please don't do it. Go do it on somebody else's channel because you ain't going to do it on mine. You don't like it? Tough shit. Share the video all over the internet. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to tap and slap that bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because you miss anything, well, you missed it. You're SOL. I think we all know what that means by now. And if not, you got problems. And we move on with that. So, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and all that other good stuff. And we move on with that. And if you're brand new here, well, welcome to the party, pal. We hope you enjoy the ride. Sit back, relax. Grab yourself a nice, tasty, cold one. This is Body Armor Fruit Punch. Gotta get some electrolytes in the system, you know what I mean? Like Gatorade. It's like, this is Team Gatorade, basically. Whatever you got, sit back, relax, put your feet up, and enjoy the show. If you like it, great. You know, get out of here. And that's that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, really quick. I'm not gonna get into any formalities like I usually do. We're going to get right to the point. And ladies and gentlemen, on this very late Wednesday night, January the 28th, 2026, or if you're now watching from somewhere else, or you're watching tomorrow, it is now January the 29th, 2026. A couple days away from the end of the month, the first month of the year, as we're going to get into the short month of February this Sunday. And we got the Royal Rumble on Saturday. We got TNA tomorrow, along with Ring of Honor, and Friday afternoon, if you have a VPN, you can watch SmackDown beginning at 1 p.m. If not, you have to wait till 8. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, on this very late Wednesday night, it is time for your very late night AEW review for Dynamite! Alright, Dynamite was a pretty good show. We had a debut of a certain Psycho Killer. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And we had some pretty good matches, a couple of segments, but all in all, I thought it was a pretty solid show. And yeah, Tony Khan's doing some good shit this month. And if I had to give a promotion best of the month, basically, promotion of the month. I'm getting it out of my mouth. That's what she said. Promotion of the month, I'd give it to AEW, hands down. Because SmackDown, Raw has been pretty mid. TNA's been pretty much dismal with their the first 2 episodes of TNA on AMC. Even though last week was pretty damn good, we'll see what happens tomorrow night on AMC with episode number 3. You know, half of it was spoiled. Ring of Honor. And that's pretty much it. NXT is okay. It's, close number 2, but still kind of mid. But we got that. But anyway, let's get into Dynamite if you're watching tomorrow, from last night, January the 28th, 2026. And we are emanating from Austin, Texas. Scare them Cowboys that night. Or, if you want to be specific, we're on the outskirts of Austin, Texas. I think it was Cedar Rapids, but Cedar Rivers, Texas, somewhere on the outskirts of the city. Because where he mentions like, oh, we're from Austin, but we're really at a different arena. But anyway, we are emanating from Austin, Texas, at I believe the HEB Center. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. Alright, so we start off right with the action. As always, as my actually Marie would say, little less talk and a lot more action right here on my show. So we get that. So I'm gonna shut up. But I digress. Alright, match number 1, we had Kenny But God Omega! Bang! And it's Wednesday nights. You know what that means with Kenny. We get to stay up late, watch Kenny Omega while we, you know what. And by the way, hey Mom, we get to watch the show. Meltzer says we're in the key demo. Oh yeah. Alright, so Kenny by God Omega takes on one member of the ever-growing Don Callis family, Lucky Romero. This was a very quick match. I don't know how long it lasted. It had to be about a couple of minutes, like 2-3 minutes. Did I say 3 minutes? But, yeah. So, we get all that. So, if my computer goes on and off, I had I don't even want to say, a really rough night with the computer. The computer flunked out. I had to freaking reprogram it. And now I don't even run on Windows 10 anymore. I'm running on Windows 8.1, like my laptop. But the funny thing is, it's running really fast with my fiber internet. So I got a couple, the memory's shot, but so the computer is kind of on its last legs. So I already put the order in for the new one. Hopefully I'll be getting it in the next couple weeks. I'm still shopping around. I'm trying to get the good one, a really good one for a really cheap price, but a good one. I may be getting a new laptop. I don't know if I'm going to get. I'm trying to see if I can get a desktop that's cheap and compatible with my fiber internet, and then we'll go from there. And it has Windows 11 already, so I don't have to worry about that shit. So if it goes up to Windows 12, hopefully I have the specs and everything, then it'll make it go up to Windows 12 and the memory, but we'll see what happens with that. But I have a few laptops and computers I put away on my wish list for Amazon. So just finding a good price and whether they're in stock or not, and they're compatible. So pretty soon, I'd say by maybe March, maybe by Easter, I'll have a new setup. I'll get to show you guys, maybe. That's pretty much it. So, very soon, new stuff coming your way. But anyway, we move on. Alright, so we start off with the introductions. Kenny and Rocky Romero waste no time going right at it. Kenny goes for a dragon suplex. As we have Taz, Excalibur, and I think Tony Baloney Schiavone on commentary. Taz pointed out that Rocky Romero knows him too well for that, so he blocked it. Well, yeah, they've been in Japan for how long? So Kenny sends Rocky Romero to the floor. Then he does a flippy dippity-doo over the ropes, landing on Rocky Romero on the floor. Then he hugs some fans at ringside. You gotta love that. I mean, you might have Kenny in your lap. He's high-fiving everything. Yeah, Kenny! Alright, then we go back in the ring. Kenny drops Rocky Romero, kicks him right in the ribs. Ow. He goes for the V-trigger, but Rocky Romero rolled out of the ring. Then he nails Kenny with some big elbow shots, so finally gets some offense in. He runs the ropes, drops Kenny on his neck. Ooh. And Kenny's has some neck problems, so, gotta worry about that. Goes for the cover, but Kenny quickly kicked out. And he nails Kenny with some big forearm shots. Kenny comes back to drop Rocky Romero. These in the corner, nails Rocky Romero in the back of the head. As he was like, oh, ese pedo, you know, trying to be like Eddie Guerrero, and he's not. He's not like me, he's a piece of crap like Rey Mysterio. I know. Thank you. You heard Ray got, hurt his shoulder? Ha! Oh, Eddie, come on, we don't need that. Come on. He would yell at you, would laugh at you, you got injured. What does he care? I'm dead anyway! Oh. I'm sorry. Anyway. So we move on with that. Anyway, so he nails him in the corner, and then Rocky Romero's like, yeah, pop! Right in the back of the head. Kenny runs the ropes, connects with the V-trigger, then hits one-winged angel, 1, 2, 3, Kenny back got Omega, gets the win. In a pretty kind of dull match, but still 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that's it. And then after the match, we get Tony Baloney Schiavone in his bright yellow sneakers that he got from Goodwill. Haha, because he didn't get them from anybody else. Not even the Bucks would give him any shoes. Shit. Alright, so he interviews Kenny. Taz makes a joke on commentary asking who's dressing Schiavone. You know dressing Schiavone, Britt Baker, baby. That's who. It's not his wife, obviously. Anyway, so Tony congratulates Kenny on the win. Kenny's tight at the top for a top contender for the world title that MJF has. So Kenny says, "I hate repeating myself, but I haven't felt this good in years." And AEW is supposed to be the place where the best wrestle. So I'm claiming my spot, dog spot, live spot, but my spot. Whether it's someone I like or I hate, it's just business, and I will become once again the heavyweight champion of the world. What else doesn't sit too well with this guy? And that's the Hangman Adam Page about to do some cowboy shit. He comes out, and quickly, Tony Baloney's like, I'm going to get back on commentary, because this is going to get serious. Well, good call there, Tony. Anyway, so, Paige tells Kenny that, he looks good. Well, you look good, Kenny. And then says, after all these years, I would rather fight beside you than against you with the world title at stake, then so be it. I'll be your enemy, or whatever. And Hangman says the thought about defending the world title against you, and because of Hook and MJF, he lost the belt. He says this time is different, despite the fires and passion I have. I, not you, Kenny, will become the three-time AEW World Champ. Then we hear the music of Swerve. We can't do the new dance. We can't do the new. Who does? So Swerve comes out with my good buddy. Buy his coffee, please. Prince Nana, and they get in the ring. Whose house? Swerve's house. Swerve says, "I came back to AEW for the title, and I have." Well, since he had it before, he wants to get it for the second time. And I have not been defeated. And I wasn't the one that got pinned at World's End. And I have the right to the title. I'm a man on a mission. The mission remains the same, to get the world title. And I don't care who I have to go through to get what I want. It could be against anybody. And then he looks Kenny right in the face. Oh, we're going to get Kenny and Swerve at some point. I don't know when, but it's going to be a banger. So Kenny tells Swerve, I can read the room. And I feel like there's animosity going on here that that you're looking for. Fight! I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it, like Bo Stanley says. Let's do it. So Swerve starts laughing at Kenny, tells him more that he knows. And then, this guy, the bald-headed idiot, Don Callis, comes out to a ruckus of boos. He can't talk because he gets Dom Guerrero heat, basically. I don't understand why people give him that! They should be kidding my son! Can't have it your way, Eddie. Sorry. They should cheer him more often! I know. I agree. Anyway, so Don says that Andrade will pin Swerve later on in the main event and say goodbye to the undefeated streak. Then he says when Andrade beats Swerve, he's coming for him. Okay. And he says, I got something special in mind for you there, Adam Page. And he says, my family runs Dynamite. And then he goes to leave. And then Kenny's like, whoa, hold on there, Don. You should worry about yourself rather than your family. And he goes right after Don. And Don's like, ah! I hope Kenny got him. I want Kenny to whip the living shit out of him. For one, turning his back. And two, basically torturing him for like a year. So, we get that. So, second part of the segment, I gave, after the Aftermath segment, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. And we'll see what happens with the world title picture. We got a lot of candidates. Besides Joe, who's not medically cleared yet. Because I forgot what injury he had. I think a shoulder injury or some type of injury. We got Hangman, we got Swerve, we got Kenny, we got Brody King. We might have Andrade, who knows? So, MJF, Max, you got some challengers, son. I don't know if you can get through all of them, but... And then waiting in the wings is Ocean Spray, who's probably going to be winning the Owen Hart Cup coming up in the springtime. Because, All In is in August now. Going back to its usual, now it's going to be in August again. But it's going to be in London. Who's from London? Oh yeah, that guy named Ocean Spray. So Ocean Spray will most likely win the world title. I think finally win the world title. From, most likely, MJF when he cashes in that, when he wins the, Owen Hart Cup. And then he goes right on to, All In. Assuming MJF has the belt by then. I think he will, but we'll see. Perhaps with that. Alright, we move on. Alright, match number 2. We have an AEW Continental Breakfast of Champions Eliminator match. We have the champion, John Moxley, taking on member of the Bang Bang Gang. That's Ace Austin, former member of the... Well, he is the kind of a current member of the Bullet Club. To shoot you for the love of God. Whoop. We get that. Before that, we get a quick video package for women's action later on in the show with Chris Cakelander defending the AEW women's title against the Spider Lady. That club, and goddamn, I'm belching up the wazoo. It's from. That's that. We briefly hear from the Babes of Wrath, and that's Holly, Cameron, and the TBS Women's Champion, and one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, the Resident Fun Girl, Widow Nightingale, bam! And, here for them backstage, Renee Paquette then does the, Megan O'Leary UFC fighter entrance routine in the aisle, just as her husband, John Moxley, makes his way to the ring, and then Ace Austin comes out, and we get that. So, we start the match off with Mox decking Ace Austin, blasting with some thundering chops. That had to hurt. And after that, Ace fires back with some forearms. We then takes down Mox and attempts to pin him, but Mox kicks out at 2. Then they exchange chops in the center of the ring. Ace kicks Mox. Mox fights right back. And then Ace goes over the top rope to the floor. Well, actually, but landed on the apron. Comes right in and drop kicks Mox. Goes to the floor. And then he connects with a kick to face. And then we switch gears a little bit with the in-match commercial. We come back. As always, the heels come back. Well, usually the heels come back to the match, but Mox is like a semi-heel or a tweener. Mox puts Ace up on the top rope. Then he digs his fingernails into his back. Like old school Hulk Hogan brother move. And then he hits a superplex on him for a double down. The ref starts the 10 count. Both get up. Mox connects with a forearm. Ace kicks Mox, lands on him with a big leg drop, brother. Then hits Mox with shots in the corner. Mox goes back, sends Ace down with a big lariato. Then he fruit roll up, but Ace kicked out at 2. And then both men try to pin each other. So we got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Look at that. And then Mox nails Ace, but he comes right back with a big spin kick, sends the champ down. Goes for the cover, and Mox gets out at 2. Then they exchange blows in the center of the ring. Mox connects with some lefts and rights. Ace is up and connects with a spin kick on Mox, dropping him to the mat. Goes for the cover, another near fall. Mox comes right back and hits a Giddy Kassa! Bang! 1, 2, 3, and, well, not, I think it was a, eliminator match. So, John Moxley gets the win, and Ace Austin, you get nothing. And that's that. Match was alright, 3 out of 5 stars. After the match, the man from Japan, not Okada, but Kazuki Takeshita, he comes out, makes a beeline for the ring, and pretty much has a stare down with the champ, as commentary reminded us of their the semi-final match in a Continental Breakfast of Champions tournament, where Moxley somehow, someway beat Takeshita. Not in the was it? Not in the semis. Sorry. During the tournament, not directly in the semifinals. So we get that. Takeshita wants the belt, makes the signal for the belt, and then 2 other members of the Don Callis family, Mark Davis and Jake Doyle, attack Mox. And then I'm like, wait a minute, where the hell is the rest of the Death Riders? They just left them for dead? I think Mox was like, hey, whatever you got, where were you guys? I don't know. We get that. Alright, moving on. So, 3 out of 5 stars for the match, and that's it. Alright, then we get to the TNT title on the line. The funky chicken himself, Mark Briscoe, and as always, we pay homage to you, sir. I know you go to bed. Well, I know you're going to bed, but reach for the sky, boy. Jay Briscoe, whose birthday passed. I think he's 40. He's 41 or 42, I think. Somewhere around there. But we miss him, and it's been, I think it's been like been about 2-3 years since he passed. Unexpectedly, you know. Stupidity because people can't drive. Not Mark's fault. It's the person that pretty much smashed into his car and killed him and almost killed his kids. Thankfully, the kids were okay. You know, even though one of them almost was paralyzed, but thankfully she walked out on the tribute show. That was a touching moment. But we have that, so. This is good shit. I like Gatorade, but this is like becoming my number 2 now. and Mio, too. Anyway, moving on. Alright, so Mark Briscoe defends against Dark Hologram, or El Clone. This was a pretty fun match. Lots of flippy dippity doos early on. We get to the end, and Mark goes down on the floor after El Clone kicked him in the head. So Mark goes to the floor. El Clone kicks him again in the head. As we go to a mid-match break, we come right back. El Clone with a roundhouse kick. A lot of kicks to the head, huh? That decks Mark. But moments later, they hit a clothesline at the same time. But Mark is well enough to get up. Hits Froggy Bow! And goes for cover. 1, 2, 3, and still TNT champion, the funky chicken himself, Mark Briscoe. Pretty good match, 3.25 out of 5 stars. Look at that. And then Mark gets on the mic, talks about the TNT Open Challenge, likes the idea of that. But one caveat, the Don Callis family is pretty much banned from the Open Challenge because he's sick of those guys. Then the lights go out. Sabu! No, you stay there. I'm sorry. No, not you stay there. Not Sabu, but, Mark would have loved that, but, because he, pays homage to Sabu with that step-up, flippy-dippity-doo he does, that Sabu would do, because he's homicidal, genocidal, suicidal, death-defying Sab-fucking-boo. Yeah, so Mark kind of emulates that. But anyway, the lights go out, and then we get this epic freaking metal theme, like a metalcore theme. I don't know who sings it. I want to know. I'm going to probably look it up tomorrow. But anyway, we see Psycho Killer on the Tron, and it can only mean one guy, and that's the Psycho Killer! Tommaso Ciampa makes his AEW debut to a big reaction from the fans in the Lone Star State. I mean, Ciampa looks great. By the way, no non-compete clause because his contract ran out. So he can go anywhere he wants. He could have went to TNA. He could have went to Japan. He could have went somewhere else. Could have went to the indie circuit. Could have went home. But he came to the land of promise, and that's AEW. And I think Tony Khan is going to work his magic with him. Hopefully. We'll see what happens with that. So Ciampa goes to the ring, has an epic stand-down with Mark. As commentary officially announced Ciampa's in-ring debut in AEW would take place on Collision this Saturday from the eSports residency in Arlington, Texas. As we find out that Mark will defend the title against Ciampa. Oh, they're going to give Ciampa the belt. I would hate for his first match and Mark beats him. That will suck so bad. I'd give him a title right then and there. And let him hold it for a few months. Not to say any really bad things about Mark, but this is like circa 2000. I would say between 2013 and 15 Ring of Honor, because they have fought before in Ring of Honor. I think over the TV title, which Ciampa used to have, and Mark never really got the TV title. I don't think he ever did. I gotta look that up, but anyway. So, what an epic debut, and nobody knew about it. Even on Twitter, nobody knew. Usually we would hear things like, oh, there's somebody backstage, oh, Ciampa's backstage, and, they keep it, usually they would keep it hush-hush, and then we would be shocked, or we find out like a day before, like, oh, Ciampa's gonna be in the building, or something like that. Nobody knew. Even Sean Ross Sapp, or, Meltzer, or anybody knew that Ciampa was debuting tonight. I didn't even know. I was like, wow. And Hunter, you got egg on your face again. Ugh. So we'll see what happens with that. But Ciampa is I think where he really belongs, and that's AEW. And I hope Tony Khan doesn't fuck this up. So we get that. Moving on. Alright, we go to the back. Renee Paquette is backstage with the producer! That's Kyle Fletcher. talking about what's next for him. And then the Intercontinental Champion, no longer the Unified Champion, because they broke that up. He lost the Continental title to Moxley in the tournament finals, I should say. Play mode. Get that. So he lost that, but he still kept and he lost the Unified title, because he dropped that, thankfully, because that belt was garbage. So he still has the Intercontinental belt with him. So he comes in and says, when it came to the screwdriver at World's End, he wasn't thinking, and he says that I wanted to face you in the finals, and I didn't mean to hurt you, and I'm sorry. So Fletcher's like, you know what, Okada? I accept your apology. And then they shake hands. Sportsmanship! Yay! Oh, that ain't gonna sit well with a certain guy named Takeshita. So, Proto-Okada might be a little bit better. It might be a thing instead of Proto-Alpha. So, I will get to that little thing in a little bit with Fletcher and Takeshita. We get that. We move on. Alright, after that, it's time for the World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Fartknocker. He comes to the ring. Then he asks Taz what AEW has them doing in a dump like Austin, Texas. Yeah, you know. Then he tells the crowd to shut up while he speaks. Well, you know, they're not going to listen. He says, when I speak, you listen. And then the big man, Brody King, he comes out as Max calls for Brody's music to cut. Cut the fucking music, like Shane Douglas would say. So then Max insults Brody's ears, calls him stupid. Brody gets in the ring. Max asks him if they're going to be professional and speak like men. They actually do. And then Max calls him Bark Boy. Okay, that was lame. And then says, Brody, you need to beat somebody credible. You know. Then he goes savage. He brings up Malachi Black, or Alistair Black, saying, you followed him around and it was spooky how you turned the lights on and off and all that stuff. Then you followed around a guy named Buddy Matthews. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Oh man. And he's like, how's his ankle doing lately? Not so good, Al, huh? Then he brings up Bandito S.A., the Ring of Honor World Champion. Max offers Brody to follow him around, and he's gonna pay him, like be his lackey, you know, buy him coffee, and, you know, gopher basically. And then he calls Brody a liberal. That looks like a Nazi. What? Whoa, where are you going with this? And says Brody beating him for the title is just a pipe dream, and in order to be champion of the world, you need to be a leader like me, but you're just a follower. Alright, so Brody kind of agrees with, he's like, I don't need to follow anybody. I have friends, unlike you, Max. And it's true, I haven't beaten anyone credible enough to get a title shot, but I talked to the boss, and next week, me and you, sir, we have an eliminator match, and when I win that, I'm going to get my title shot at Grand Slam Australia, which is February the 14th, I believe. Or the 20th, somewhere around there. It's coming up in a couple weeks, so yeah, we're going to see the replay of that on Collision. I don't know if we're getting one for, I think we're getting one for Dynamite too. I forgot what date that is, but coming up pretty much in, I think, 2, maybe 3 weeks. And that's that. But I think Brody will win. He may win the match for like DQ and then go on to Grand Slam and lose. Properly lose. But we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so I gave that 3 out of 5 stars. Then we shift gears. We get a vignette of the Young Bucks. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, they're the most decorated tag team legends of all time. They talk about it being time to go back to their roots. Oh, we'll go back to PWG? Right. Yeah, me saying that is my voice to Excalibur's ears. We haven't seen PWG in a very long time, like a couple of years now. Because you know why? Excalibur can't pay. He has no money to run that promotion anymore. It's pretty much extinct now. And all the people that had those belts, they retired. They retired with those belts. But never say never to a PWG reunion show. I'd be up for that. As long as it's in New York, but they probably have it in Reseda. Not at that place, that fucking bar in Reseda, when they always been, and then they kind of moved to a bigger place, which was great. I think it was like a theater, a lovely theater, for the last years of PWG. And that's that. I don't even remember who the last champion was. I think it was Danny Garcia. I could be wrong on that. But anyway. So anyway. They said it's time to go back to their roots. They put the tag team division on notice. And says it starts next week in Sin City. That's Las Vegas, Nevada. Can we get one final tag team title run with the Bucks? We'll see. But keep an eye out to BTE this Monday. I think we got some clues. And we got that. Alright, so I gave that 3 out of 5 stars. Then we go back to the ring. I think it was around the death slot. For the AEW Women's title, Chris Cakelander takes on the Spider Lady, Thekla. Accompanied by the Sisters of Sin. My girl, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. Oh, both looking hot. When they came out, then head to the back. I guess there was a big juicy steak in catering. I don't know. Anyway, it was a pretty decent match. I'm not gonna get through everything. We're getting near the end of the match. Statlander rolls to the outside. Thekla comes off the top with a big cross body on the floor. And then she throws Cakelander back in the ring. Covers her only for a near fall. Then she hits a spear for a double down. And then they battle it out in the center of that very ring. Thekla wins that, locks up Cakelander in the center of the ring, wrenches the arm, ow, and then stomps on it. Oof, that had to hurt. Goes for cover for another near fall. She goes for the spear, but then is caught with a big thrust kick. And then Cakelander picks Thekla up for a powerbomb and picks her up for Saturday Night Fever. 1, 2, 3. Chris Cakelander, still your reigning defending AEW Women's Champion. And then we'll see who our next challenger is going to be. We don't know yet. But we move on. And that's that. Alright. We shoot backstage where we see Don Callis with Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Don tells Takeshita he needs to take Fletcher's lead and, follow Fletcher's lead, basically, and forgive Okada. That ain't gonna happen. So he leaves, and Takeshita asks Fletcher if he forgave Okada. Obviously, he did. And I don't think Takeshita's a happy camper. So we go to break with that. So I give that 2.5 out of 5 stars. We move on. Alright, then we get a video from earlier in the day showing the AEW National Champion Ricochet and the Case of Agony Bishop Quan! I know not Quan! And Toa Leona. Where was I? They're backstage. So the demand basically Ricochet talks right into the camera, and we see Jack Perry talking at a turn about taking his belt. And actually, no, we take that back. He talks directly about Jack Perry talking at a turn about taking his title, and then we see the Gates of Agony beating the living shit out of Jack Perry. And nobody's there to save him because Luchasaurus got hurt again. With his shoulder injury, I believe. So, I don't know who's going to save, Jack Perry from the Demand. Maybe Air Supply. No, I'm kidding. I know, I'm sorry. Supply and Demand. And if you don't like Air Supply, fuck you. That's all I gotta say about that. Because I'm on a love, I'm so lost without you, and I forgot the rest of the words. Who knew two gay singers would be, a great 80s, early 80s hit band, you know what I mean? It happens. And we got that. They're great, though. They're great people. But their heyday was in the early to mid 80s, and it kind of influenced a certain guy named Meatloaf, or reverse that, but good stuff. Both, Meatloaf, we all know, Meatloaf's great. Air Supply, great in the 80s. And the 80s were the greatest decade ever. And you can't debate me on that. Oh, the 90s were great. Yeah. Well, the 90s were, the early 90s were basically grunge. And then pretty much after Kurt Cobain shot himself, metal started coming back around. And then you had, gangster rap and Biggie and Tupac and, showing baby oil combs and everything, around. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Drizzy, And then near the end of the decade, Eminem came around. Nas was around the mid 90s with Biggie and everything. But so gangster rap was coming around. Even new metal was coming around with Slipknot, Disturbed, Korn, Kid Rock. That like great band like Limp Dick Bizkit, But yeah, the 90s had some decent, good years, but the music gets trumped by the 80s. I mean, it does. I mean, Michael Jackson versus Nirvana. Who do you take? I go with Michael Jackson. Well, actually, I'll take that back. Nirvana versus bands like Metallica. Or Slayer. Who do you take? Slayer or Nirvana? Who sold more records? Slayer. Metallica. Nirvana sold a lot of records, no doubt, but that was on the tail end of, when metal was just getting destroyed because freaking grunge came around. And, Kurt Cobain just it's like, alright, I'm gonna be on my hill for a couple years, and then he got too sick of the fame, and it's like, alright, I'm gonna get off my hill, boom, shot himself in the head. And then metal's like, alright, we're gonna creep back, we're gonna add some new bands in, and make metal great again, like Trump coming back. Because Joe Biden and that bitch Kamala Harris just made America garbage, and Trump's trying to fix everything now. That's done a great job in the first year and change. Pretty much the first year of his presidency. Actually, he's starting year 2. Yeah, we'll see. See what happens with that. But, yeah, get that fucking, a lot of people want that tariff check to come out early, but it's not going to come out till maybe by the summertime or by the end of the year. And at this point, who knows if it's coming out? With Congress like, oh, we don't want to do it. So who knows? But he really wants that tariff check to come out by the midterms. So that's like the middle of the year between May and August. So, personally for me, I don't care. Because I have a lot of money. But for people that are, not doing so good, 2000 would really come in handy for them. And even the tax refunds, there's things that people can get like $1,000 for their kid or something like that. You just gotta just Google it and with the tax refunds and stuff. I don't think I'm gonna get a big one this year, but it sounds wrong, but okay. All right, moving on. Where are we here? Alright, so Jack Perry gets beat up by the Demand. Man, we'll see what happens with that. Alright, back to the ring we go for the AEW Tag Team titles. We had FTR, fuck the Revival. Dax the Axe Harwood and Cash. He's got a clock. Wheeler taking on Mark Davis. And Jake Doyle with Stokely Hathaway. The man against No Hose at ringside on commentary. Was a pretty decent match. Back and forth they went. We get near the end. Doyle and Dax are on the top rope. Cash Wheeler comes up, and him and Doyle take each other out. Excuse me. Mark Davis with a superplex on Dax. And then Cash comes off the top rope, landing on Mark Davis. So kind of like a reverse Power and Glory. Dax covers Mark, but he kicks out at 2. Jake Doyle is still out on the floor. And then Davis sends Cash Wheeler to the floor. Locks in a 1921 sleeper on Dax. Tries to fight out of it. Cash gets back on the apron. The ref gets distracted. And then Jon Moxley comes out from the crowd. Nails Mark Davis in the head with the Continental Breakers of Champions title. I don't know what that was about, but okay. We all know Jon Moxley hates the Don Callis family and Don Callis personally, so I get why he did that. So Mark is then dropped with the Shatter Machine. 1, 2, 3, and still the AEW Tag Team Champions FTR. So it looks like Mox is gonna maybe feud with the rest of the Don Callis family, and same with the Death Riders, and that's it. Alright, move on. Alright, then we go backstage with, once again, the remarkable Renee Paquette with the Gimmick Stealer. That bitch, Orange Cassidy, because he stole my gimmick. He thinks he can get with Tony Storm, he can get with my fourth amazingly hot Asian wife, Mina. He didn't get those flowers, it was me. Whether Mina thinks it was from Orange Cassidy or not, it was from me. Same. So, he starts talking about another douchebag, William Yuta, and on cue, he comes in, I'm like, oh, this segment's great. 2 useless fucks. So he comes in to interrupt, and then Marina Shafir, she comes in, and goes right at Orange Cassidy, grabs him by the hair, like, why you little, And then, Timeless Tony Storm, darling. Bosom. She comes in, gets right in Marina Shafir's face. And, there's some cursing involved. Says, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. Stuff like that. And then, we're gonna get a mixed tag team match on, I assume, Collision. So it's gonna be Tony and Orange Cassidy teaming up against William Yuta and Marina Shafir. Boring! And that's it. And then security comes in, tries to break this shit up. And eventually cooler heads prevail. So, at least security finally did their job. They got the $50, did their job, get out. Instead of getting their butts kicked, get their $50 and then get out. Anyway, we move on. Alright, then it's time for your main event. We had about 10-15 minutes left of the show with the over-on, of course. Swerve versus Andrade, who came out looking like a zombie with that mask. Looked like a zombie / Terrifier. Good stuff. But this was a pretty damn good match. Fans loved it. I loved it. You loved it. Getting to the end. Then we see that fan that was on Collision last weekend. That's a female, Mexican female wrestler. I forgot her name. Swerve sends Andrade into the steel steps. He grabs a phone from that fan and takes a selfie. And then he looked like he entered his number into her phone. She's got a lot of numbers. 8675309. Okay. No, not Jenny. I wonder. 8675309 is the Jenny song. Jenny was a whore before she met freaking Forrest Gump. Did you know that? That's probably why Tommy Two-Tone wrote that fucking song. Not because it was written on the freaking bathroom stall. Jenny was a slut getting into the 80s. If you watch Forrest Gump near the end, she went through that whole phase with the 70s and after Vietnam and getting into near the end of the 70s and early 80s. I think that movie actually ended with them in the 80s, I think. Yeah, well, it had to be the 80s because Forrest Jr. was watching fucking Sesame Street. It had to be around the late 70s, early 80s. When that movie actually, ended. When the movie ended with, well, if you didn't see Forrest Gump, I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But, I told you half near the end, but that's that. But, yeah. Jenny. Anyway. The fan, Swerve gave the fan his phone number, and then she reaches into her shirt, showing her titties, pulls out a note, hands it to Andrade, shows it to the camera, smiles, I think it was her number, or something, and he's like, ooh, look at this, and smiles as the show shifts gears, and we get a commercial. We come right back. We're still in progress. Andrade looks for his DM finisher or the message. Swerve avoided it, and moments later, Swerve hits a big kick for a very near fall. Goes to the top rope. Andrade stops him and hits a super poison Rana. Damn. Then he sprints across the ring with the double shotgun knees in the corner for another near fall. Swerve comes back with a house call. Looks to finish Andrade off. Andrade blasts Swerve with a nut shot. I don't know how the referee missed that. Maybe he was talking to Prince Nana about buying a caseload of his coffee. I don't know. So, Andrade follows that up with the message. Goes to the cover. 1, 2, 3, a shocking victory by Andrade beating Swerve. With a little chicanery. I could have done without that, but that's Andrade, the champion of Puerto Rico. And he retained against Savant at Euphoria. Much to the chagrin of the Puerto Rican people, but what are you gonna do? Don Callis was at ringside. He loved it, because I guess Andrade's still in the Don Callis family, technically. We get that. Then we hear that Kenny Omega and Andrade next week on the program. Sign me up. But knowing next week Kenny's going to beat Andrade. Fuck. I'd mark out if Andrade beat Kenny. Mostly because of Don Callis, not because of the family. I think Don will get involved and distract Kenny, and Andrade will get another big win against a former World Heavyweight Champion. So he really would put his name in the hat for a title shot if he beats Kenny. And that's that. Match-wise, it was alright. 3 out of 5 stars. Then, the final segment commences, and we cut backstage. Renee Paquette, standing with MJF, says, "No one is beating me for my belt." Then Kenny walks up, cuts him off, tells Max it's one more week and one more win. I'll see you at Revolution, March the 15th. Tries shaking Max's hand. Max is like, fuck you. Then then he goes to leave, goes to the parking lot. He's going on his way to the parking lot. He stopped by Andrade. I don't know how he got to the back that quick. He tells MJF, I want the belt. But Mac's like, I don't want to talk to you either. Keeps walking. He exits the building. And we see a black car waiting for him. Goes to open the door, but Hangman Anna Page stops him and they have a stare down. And then Max eventually hops in the back. Zoom! That car went fast. Did you see that? He got in the car right before he closed the door. Zoom! I'm like, whoever was driving that car, should be easy. And that's that. And that ends a pretty solid edition of Dynamite. And I gave Dynamite 7.25 out of 10 stars. I thought it was a pretty better than average show. I think it was pretty damn good. So we'll see what happens on Collision this Saturday night with the in-ring debut of Tommaso Ciampa going right for the TNT title against Mark Briscoe. That should be a great match. So after we watch the Royal Rumble, which starts at 2 p.m., should end about 4:30, maybe around 5, maybe close to 6. We have our lunch in between, then we take a little break, then around 8 o'clock, we hit TNT, and we watch Collision. Some of us will, some of us might not watch it, but depending what you guys are doing this week, but still snowing in the Northeast, I mean, you could still go out, but you gotta be careful. But I went out today because I had physical therapy and I had to do some errands. I got more to do tomorrow because I got a doctor appointment tomorrow. I'm off Friday. I was supposed to do something Friday, but I changed my my plans and everything because still kind of icy and still kind of mounds of snow here, and we're getting another snowstorm on Sunday. We don't know how much, but looks like it's gonna be it's gonna go out to sea, and we're gonna get like a glancing blow. So at best, we're getting about 2, maybe 3 inches, which will melt by next week because it's gonna be around 30, 35, finally over fucking freezing by Tuesday, and then hopefully we get a 40 degrees and sun. We get all this snow to finally melt by the first weekend of February. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think all this snow that we got on the ground here in New York ain't gonna melt till probably by March at this point. And who knows what's gonna happen in February. February's always been a bad month for, in the winters. Not so much the last couple years, but, And we got the Hedgehog coming up on Monday. What's he gonna say? And there's a lot of hedgehogs around. Punk's is only filmed in Pennsylvania. We got one in Staten Island. So one's gonna say one thing, another one's gonna say another thing. We don't know what's going on. Cats and dogs loving each other. Mass hysteria. So we got that. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm going to bed. And that's it. I'm gonna get some rest, and then get up tomorrow. I have to go out late in the afternoon. Not so late in the afternoon. Mid-afternoon, I have to go out, and then I'm coming right back. And that's it. So tomorrow we'll talk about NXT, and we'll talk about Oh no, that's it. We're just gotta talk about NXT. As far as Collision goes, I'm sorry I didn't get Collision up this week. It will be back next week. And that's it. So tomorrow, we'll talk about NXT and get you ready for TNA on AMC, episode number 3, Feast of Fired. Cases will be revealed. We already know Eddie Edwards is got the world title shot, because that was spoiled last week at the end of the show on TNA Plus. Dumb. I hope they work around that, but I doubt it. So we'll see what happens with that. So congrats to Eddie Edwards in advance for getting a world title shot against Mike Santana. Possibly Nick Nemeth. Who knows at this point? So by the time we hit No Surrender, 2 weeks from Friday, February the 13th, Friday the 13th. We got 2 back-to-back Friday the 13th, February and March. I think we have one later in the year, so I think we have 3 of them, which is rare. I don't think we ever had, as far as I can remember, I don't think we ever had a year that had 2 or 3. I know we had 2, but 3 Friday the 13th. But we're getting back-to-back in February and March. So, crazy. So, Jason Voorhees is going to have a lot of cake. You know what I mean? So, be careful of Jason Voorhees on February the 13th and March 13th. So, we got all that. Right before Valentine's Day, we gotta say hi to Jason Voorhees. Great. He steals the hearts out of young couples and everything. Literally. And I'm all set. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Until next time, once again, 7.25 out of 10 stars for Dynamite. It was a great show. We'll see what happens on Collision this weekend. And that's that. Like I said, tomorrow, TNA on AMC, beginning at 9 p.m. Episode number 3. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully they can get a little bit better than 171. Maybe start climbing up to 200,000 and maybe going over that. But since it's taped, I doubt it'll go up, might go down. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. Ring of Honor. Another episode of Ring of Honor from the Esports Stadium. I think we got 1 or 2 more shows for the residency. I think it's ending this week anyway, so I got that. So Collision will be done this week. Then after that, as we saw February, it'll be in random cities. So, but next week, AEW in Las Vegas. Vegas. Go to Vegas. You know, so we have that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I said that like 5 times, 50 times now. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Peace.